Hello everybody and welcome back to SaveEarth.us via artofdino.com, and I have got a Tartarian Tales number 90 for you guys. That is very cool. I am very glad to have found this because I've been looking for a new one, and this one just fell on my lap while I was actually looking for something else. So it has a lot of cool stuff. As you can already tell from the community post in this picture, you are going to find out the story about the first time the magic trick with the rabbit in the hat or basin is occurred, and it was the Tartarians. And it's a very interesting story. What happened when the British embassy and some of their people went over to Tartaria, Tartar City, all over there, in the Emperor of China in United States in 1790s. So they wrote a book which I'm going to dive into as well, and this is an extract from that book, and I'll put the link below for this news article. But whew, very cool, and it is a kind of a little excerpt of their trip, and there's one object in it which is one of the most amazing things ever, which I'm not sure if it exists anywhere, but if it does, it would be the answer to all of our problems about knowing about this unknown history. So wait till you hear about that, because the Emperor of China gives the British people a priceless treasure, which I am curious if anyone in England knows of the whereabouts of this, or if they just eliminated it, or if they kept it in a private collection. And you will see, because it is the gold mine for all of us truthers out here that wonder about the Tartarian legacy, the Tartarian Empire, and how long it reached, what it was capable of. All of those answers are in this one book referred to in this Tartarian tale. So let's get right into it. You ready? This is an extract from Anderson's narrative of Earl Macartney's embassy to China, 1795. This appeared in the newspaper. So here we go. Listen to this. Some of it's all great. So here we go. This morning, the ambassador went to the Imperial Palace, but not in the former style of parade, to have his audience of leave, as the period of our stay in Tartary was verging to a period. His Excellency at the same time transacted certain official business at court, which was said without reserve at the time by the gentlemen of the suite to be as follows. And some of this is a little bit blurry, so bear with me. The Emperor of China refused in the first instance to sign and, of course, to enter into any engagement by a written treaty with the Crown of Great Britain, smart, or any other nation, as such a contract on his part would be contrary to the ancient usage and indeed an infringement of the ancient constitutions of the empire. And just think about that. That was such a strong conviction, even in the 1700s, and it probably passed all through time, and the Britons didn't have any type of thing like that. No commitment to their ancient past. They just appeared, they didn't just appear, but they the Emperor, China and Tartaria smelled something very fishy, and very rightfully so, about these Britons. And I don't know, it's the rest of history. It goes to show why they were so skeptical of this meeting and signing anything with these people. And it just goes to show that something strange happened around the time that changed our world from an ancient, morally interesting, or just a spiritually wonderful pleasure ground and paradise of magic and infinite possibilities into something a lot more rigid and regimental and kind of terrible, to be, if you ask me, in comparison, because I like the magic of life and all that stuff, and it got sucked out by the Brits and a lot more. But here we go. I'm going to keep going. So they did not want to sign that because it would have been contrary to their ancient constitutions of the empire. At the same time, he was pleased to signify his high respect for his Britannic Majesty and the British nation, in that he felt a strong disposition to grant them greater indulgencies than any other European power trading to his dominions. Nor was he unwilling to make such a new arrangement of the duties payable by British ships arriving at Canton, as appeared to be a leading object of the negotiation. I like it. At the same time, however, he should be ever attentive to the real interests of his own subjects, an atom of which he would never sacrifice, and should therefore withdraw his favors to any foreign nation whenever it might appear to be incompatible with the interests of his own, or that the English, by their conduct in trade, forfeit their presentions to any advantages which might be granted them in preference to other nations trading to China. These were the declarations of the empire on the occasion, that part's too blurry, in his opinion, required a written instrument or signature to induce him to realize and fulfill. So you got to check that part. Check the link. It's just too tough to read. There's splotches on the thing. At the same time, to prove the high regard and esteem the Emperor of China entertained for the King of Great Britain, His Imperial Majesty delivered from his own hand into that of the ambassador a very valuable book containing the miniature pictures of all the preceding emperors, to which is affixed a description verse by each emperor, descriptive of himself and the principal features of his government, as well as a line of conduct recommended to their several successors. The emperor, on presenting this gift to, I'm going to tell that in a sec, but I got to talk about that, because that's the object that I was alluding to at the beginning of this. So think about that. He wouldn't sign anything. He wouldn't want to do any of that. So he was like, okay, he's like, I got to give these guys something because, they're powerful, but I don't want to give them any type of access to our power and break any of those ancient treaties. So I'll give them this book, and maybe they'll learn about us, which is probably, I wonder if they even had the premonition that they were going to erase their history soon enough, or that was their inevitable goal, was to conquer, erase, and destroy their entire history and pollute it to the whole world forever and eradicate them from history forever. So I wonder if that's why they gave him this book, and I hope it wasn't the only one. I hope there's one somewhere else, because the Brits are not too trustworthy with treasures like this. But think about the power of this book. An emperor lost to our present day history, where every single entry was written by the emperor themselves, telling about what they did during their time and giving advice to the next people on how to keep it going. That is so priceless. The amount of history in that is more important than any book I can possibly think of. I would so much rather read that than literally any other book ever, because it has so much. And I wonder, it doesn't say how far back in time it went, but I bet you it went pretty far back. And what an absolute treasure. So if anyone out there from Britain or knows anything about the museums has heard of this, let me know, because I'd like to see what it looks like. I will provide some AI pictures of what they think it looks like above, but so sweet. Just to know that a book like that exists is ridiculous, while thousands of us in this community are just like clawing for evidence about what this ancient empire was like. This one book has all of the answers that we need, and we don't know if it's still around or if it's completely eradicated. But it's amazing. I mean, there's probably more things that exist just like that. But again, wow. Just even knowing that did exist, it makes me feel really happy, to be honest. And I hope it will be discovered again. Maybe they went into print at one point. I doubt it. But hopefully there's more than one. And hopefully he didn't trust something so valuable to the raging Brits. So here we go. The emperor, on presenting this gift to the ambassador, spoke to the following purport. Deliver this casket to the king, your master, with your own hand, and tell him, though the present may appear to be small, it is, in my estimation, the most valuable that I can give, or my empire can furnish, for it has been transmitted to me through a long line of my predecessors, and is the last token of affection which I had reserved to bequeath to my son and successor, as a tablet of the virtues of his ancestors, which he had only to peruse, as I should hope, to inspire him with the noble resolution to follow such bright examples, and as they have done, to make it the grand object of his life, to exalt the honor of the imperial throne, and advance the happiness and prosperity of his people. Wow. So imagine seeing this. So that's the most present day of these entries, is this emperor that's giving this treasure to the Brits foolishly. I don't know why. But and he's thinking that, and this is what he's saying, it's advance the happiness and prosperity of his people as the ultimate goal. And so imagine where this came from. What this book would show would be the evolution of a leader's path, of leaders throughout time getting to this point of how they deal with the people and how they work towards the happiness and prosperity of his people. So it could have shown, I mean, this may be the answer to all of like the despots and dictatorships that have occurred around the world and led people to countless eras of misery, millions and millions of deaths attributed to wars and different things by terrible leaders who don't have the happiness and prosperity of their people in mind. And we're about to come across this in America. We had a lot of leaders that didn't have this in mind, and now we're getting back to it. And again, all coming and coinciding. The Tartaria stuff all came about around 2016, started to rise again. So is this all connected? Are we basically all discovering this history? And maybe this book will even come back and be promoted by Russia or something. We'll reveal it and unleash it and publish it, and all of our worlds will change. But imagine seeing the evolution of those kings, those absolute men who conquered the world at the time and could have had things all over America. There could be pictures of American kings and empires in there. There is so much that we do not know, and it is in that book. And dear God, it would be so good to see that. I would love to find it. Somebody find it and link it or somewhere. It's got to remain. But although it doesn't have to, it remains physically, but not up for the public to see. Either way, amazing. And here we go. Get ready for the rabbit. Such were the words delivered by the emperor on the occasion, as communicated by Mr. Plum, the interpreter, and which occasioned, as may be imagined, no small degree of speculation among the gentlemen of the retinue. The ambassador returned to dinner, and soon after repaired again to the Imperial palace, with his whole suite in attendance, to see a play which was expressly performed as a particular mark of respect to the embassy. This dramatic entertainment was represented in one of the inner courts of the palace, on a temporary stage erected for the purpose. It was decorated with a profusion of silks, ribbons, and streamers, and illuminated with great splendor and elegance. Which is also interesting too, because when Trump went to Peking City to meet Xi Jinping, they did a show and a presentation for him. I'll try to dig up some pictures, but that definitely happened. A very similar kind of thing or occurrence, but 300 plus years ago or around. So here we go. Here we go. This is about the performance. The performances consisted of a great variety of mock battles and military engagements, lofty tumbling, as it is expressed with us, and dancing both on the tight and slack ropes. And in all these exercises that agility was displayed, which would have done no discredit to the gymnastic amusements of Sadler's Wells or Astley's Amphitheater. Not sure what those are. But the skill of the performers was more particularly astonishing in the art of balancing, in which they excelled anything of the kind I had ever seen. By an imperceptible motion, as it appeared, of the joints of their arms and legs, they gave to basins, jugs, glasses, etc., an apparent power of locomotion, and produced a progressive equilibrium by which these vessels changed their positions from one part to another of the bodies of the balances in a manner so extraordinary that I almost suspected the correctness of my own senses. So almost like they were defying gravity, a little bit more magic. And again, it's kind of showing, I think this is an evolution of like balancing plates, balancing different things like that, which again, these people had never seen. This is again magic that we know of as magic today, simple magic, all the classic magic tricks, and they originated in Tartary, in China, ancient Tartaria. Imagine what it was like during those times and what other ones that they came up with. Probably all the ones we know of today, but again, a lot that we probably can't even perform today because they know how to do things and they were in a totally different mindset and level of focus than anyone in this present day can achieve, sadly, because of our immense amounts of surrounding distractions everywhere. But wow, so cool. And that's such a great show. And again, amazing. The succession of entertainments was concluded by a variety of curious deceptions by sleight of hand, which the almost magical activity of Breslau and Comus has never exceeded. I gotta look those up too. And as a proof of my assertion, I shall mention one of them, which I must own astonished me and seemed to have an equal effect on the rest of the spectators. The performer began by exhibiting a large basin in every possible position, when he suddenly placed it on the stage with the hollow part downwards, and instantly, taking it up again, discovered a large rabbit, which leaped from the performer, who attempted to catch it by taking refuge among the spectators. This deception was perfectly unaccountable to me, as there were no visible means whatever of communication by which it was possible to convey so large an animal to the spot. The stage was also covered with matting, so that it could not be conveyed through the floor, which, if that had been the case, must have been discovered by those, and there were many of them who were within 3 yards of the spot. Besides, the whole display of the trick occupied but a few seconds. Several other deceptions of a similar kind prolonged our amusement. The whole of the entertainment was accompanied by a band of musicians placed on the stage. That must have been an unbelievable performance, especially if you've never seen any of that stuff before, never fathomed it possible. That is incredible. And it's interesting that that's only a couple hundred years old, but probably also much older. But that they didn't discover it for a couple hundred years ago is pretty interesting. And this appears to be the first time because everyone seems so shocked. And again, wow, magic. That is so, it's just so interesting that this thing, this art form for them, for these ancient Tartarians, has turned into what it has for us. And nowadays there's tricks and there's like sleight of hand like ways and just, trick mechanisms and construction and stuff that goes into all of these tricks. But what was it back then? Were they really using magic? And then over time we lost it, but we had to figure out tricks in order to make it happen. Or were they doing tricks back then that were just maybe a little bit more in depth and better at keeping them secret? But I don't know. I kind of believe it was the magic because they always have those movies too, like Wizards and different animation movies, Gandahar and stuff, where the magic is threatened and targeted. The Neverending Story, all these different movies that talk about the magic disappearing, the battle between magic and science winning. It's in our faces all over the place. And these guys, this was the world of magic, and these British people were the ones that came to crush it and bring in the nonsense science that has made everything much more boring and less magical, less spiritually beautiful, and the potential has been lost for so much that we can't even fathom. So, very interesting again. And the last paragraph says, the theater was filled with persons of distinction and formed a very splendid appearance. The ambassador and his suite returned about 9 o'clock, having been very much gratified by the entertainment of the evening. So I am going to find much more from this book because I am sucked into it now and I want to know more than just these couple paragraphs. So I've got to find more. So stay tuned. There'll probably be a new series of Tartarian tales coming that deals with this. But again, magic, balance, the rabbit in the hat, the book of emperors, and that would solve everything. To this day, would solve everything for all of us. Someone find that book. Someone go digging. But either way, I hope you all enjoyed this little collection of things. Check out the article if you want to find more. And again, I wasn't even looking for it. It just came right at me, and so I had to put it out there. So I hope you all enjoyed it. Stay on the synchronistic path, and stay tuned for more from SaveEarth.us and a ton more from artofdino.com. I got some new art coming out, guys. Wait till you see it. The Realm is coming, and the inner alchemical, or not really alchemical, but the inner sacred landscape of the human body is also coming. 2 whoppers coming your way very soon. So stay tuned. You all are awesome. Bless you all.